Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. All right, so just going to do some easy picking today. All right, so I realize there's, a lot of you out there that are on the verge. Like, you're ready to take that next step. I hear this all the time. I got a lot of questions about things like, what scales should I learn? How do I use my scales? How do I, hello, Cheatin', how are you? How do I invoke my scales into my playing? All that kind of stuff. So, look, I recommend you do really one thing. You pick. Hello, Cheatin', how are you? Welcome from India. Welcome to Canada. The best thing, well, I should say, I think the common thing, I know I made this mistake, was not stopping at one scale. So what happened to me was I learned, like everybody, you learn the minor pentatonic shape, right? That's that shape. It used to be the first one that everybody is taught, the first one that, hi Sarah, happy Halloween. It seems to be the first scale that is shown. And there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, people ask me, so I'm going to answer a bunch of kind of questions all in one go here. So the answer to the first one of the questions is scale, the minor pentatonic shape. Now, I call that, and this is me, all right? I mean, this is not a rule. This isn't, what everybody does. This is what I did and what I suggest. This is the all-purpose flower of scales. You can literally play this scale over anything. You can play it over anything, all right? Doesn't matter the kind of music. It'll work as long as it belongs, like you've got the right key. I happen to be playing the A minor version there, but, you might be playing it in B minor or G or whatever, D, okay? So that's the first thing to remember is one scale, right? Now, it is the first scale that I learned, but it's not the first scale that I ended up using on a regular basis for quite some time, and I still do. And I call that scale, the real name for it, I just called it the Ray scale, okay? Now, I didn't invent it or nothing, and it's not, I don't really know what it is, but it's basically, na nya ya wo na nya wo hey ya hey ya hey ya hey ya. How's that for Indian music? I don't know. I don't have a sitar here, and I'd love to play a sitar, but I don't I don't have one. So that's the best I can do. All right. So if you find if you don't know tonic and you find that you don't want to learn it or it's too difficult or whatever, I've got a simpler thing for you. And it's called the Ray scale. I'm going to quickly explain it, okay? All right. This is probably the closest to an Indian song that I think I could probably play. And I've made this for so long, so bear with me. George Harrison, right? I have no idea. But anyways, let's get back to in your right to play notes, right? And getting started with playing All right, Dylan, you can play the Indian music and send me a video clip and I'll post it for you, okay? Get your sitar out. It's not about not respecting music. It's because you've asked me 31 times to play Indian music. I mean, I'm sure there are people out there playing Indian music. Dylan, get that sitar tuned up for me, all right? All right. So look, what I suggest is I have a simple, you like that? Too much ghee today. There's a simple way to execute sort of like a scale. I mean, remember, a scale is just a succession of notes, right? In order. Ascending or descending or both. So anytime we have something like anything like that's a scale. Even though it didn't sound great, it's a scale because it's an ascending order of notes. But of course, our scales all have names, and there's a reason. So if you're playing a pentatonic scale, then you have to play 5 notes over and over again. If you are playing a major scale in G, you got to play the 7 notes of that G scale over and over again, or in any order, or whatever. There's certain rules, okay? So what I can sort of show you quickly, and I do have a video about this on my channel. It's, again, called the Octave scale or the Ray scale. I find it in the section that says fretboard theory, I believe, okay? And really what it is in this case we have a chord progression, C, A minor, F, and G. Now, whether you know this or not, that would make this in the key of C, all right? Not because the first chord is the C. Sometimes the first chord is an E minor or an A minor, which is just another chord in the key of C, but it's still in the key of C. So don't always think that the first, although a lot of times it is, the first chord of a song or a chord progression that you want to play along to is not always in the key, is not always the first chord is not always in that key, if you know what I mean. So if it's the key of D, the first chord may be not a D, but it's still in the key of D, right? So in this case, these 4 chords, we are in the key of C, and C just happens to be the number 1 chord, right? So what we can do now is we can go about this. For those of you that know a bit of theory, know that the A minor is a relative minor to C. They're cousins. They play well, they hang out together, they share everything. And in this case, they share the same notes. So if this song is in the key of C, or any song or any chord progression, and you want to play the minor pentatonic scale, you can play A minor. C and A minor are relatives. G and E minor are relatives, okay? So we can play, if you'll listen, I'm only playing the notes of the minor pentatonic in A. So they all work. Whether or not they're the ones you want, they work, okay? Now, we could have done the same thing if the song started in A minor or, you know, any song in the key of A minor, or C, okay? Now, the thing here is we could use the Ray scale, and here's how you do that. We're in the key of C, but what we'll do, just for the sake of it, we will say the first chord, whatever that first chord is. In this case, it is a C. It could be something else, but take the first chord of a chord progression. So if someone says, play along with us, we're in the key of C. Okay, no problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my guitar and I'm going to find a C note, right? All right. I could play it here. There's a C note right there. 3rd fret, 5th string. That's a C. There is no open C. There's no string called C, so everything is going to be fretted. So there's a C. We have a C here, which is what they always tell you to do when you're going to start a scale. Go to the string 6 and find that root note on it. So in this case, it would be here. There's my C, okay? There's a C here, and we got a C here. And there's others, but there's a C here. All right, but we're going to take this one because most of us are playing open chords up here or down here on the neck, okay? All right. So there's our C right there. Now I'm going to start the chord progression. Now all we have to do is play the C, go up 2 frets all the time. That note will never be a bad note, no matter what you're doing, what you're listening to, where you are on your fretboard, wherever you decide to start with a C. This note here, 2 frets up, you can play that, okay? So there's our C, there's our D. Now if we want, just to show you, these notes work. I'm just toggling back and forth with those 2 notes. All right? So now we know we have 2 notes that work. Now, if you're shy and you really don't know if you fit in, you don't know if you're going to be intimidated, which we all are when we start out, when we start playing with other people or joining groups, right? Hey, Tony, how are you? So what we can do, if you really want to, you could just play those 2 notes. A little bit of corresponding rhythm to whatever you're playing to, right? So in this case, it would be like... something like that. 2 notes. You're good. You can play it here. Right? It works. But what we're going to do, we're going to go 2 more notes. So we're going to make a box. All of this stuff is really just extracted from videos that I have on the channel. Now, this particular video that outlines this is called the 4-note box. So we started in C, okay? We went over here 2 frets. Now, if we, RAYRAY, that's a new one. If we go underneath where we started, so remember we started here on the C, if we go 1 string down, 2 over, 2 frets, we got a box. That would be C, D, F, G. C, D, F, G, C, D, F, G, C, D, F, G. All right? Now, not coincidentally, our chord progression is C, A minor, F, G. So it's okay. Some people call me a rat, so that's good. So we have 3 notes of the 4 corresponding chords in the progression are right there in that box. C, D, F, G. The only one that doesn't fit is D, but it works because it's the second note to the C. It's going to work. It's always going to sound good because you C, D, C, D, C, D. So now we got a 4-note box. Now look what we can do, right? So someone calls you to E, you're sitting down, there's some people you don't know, everyone's got their guitars out. Hey, I'm playing something in the key of C. Anybody want to play along? Go ahead. Well, now what you could do, right, is find your C and play 4 notes off of that. C, D, F, G. Okay? See how that works out. Here we go. Backwards. Up. That's it. You're playing. Now, what we want to try to do is stay in time, like get the beats per minute. Got to get a feel for that, right? Then what we want to do, we want to try to play the note of the chord they're playing. So when the G is on, we want to be playing the G. When the C is on, we want to try to hit, it's not overly important. And don't even obsess with it at the beginning. Just play those 4 notes and let your ears tell you where you should play them. Okay? And they will. Your ears will tell you. And you'll find with practice, now remember, I always say this, always. Whenever you learn something or see something or whatever, a new guitar technique, a new thing you got to learn, all right? Please remember, when you try it out, you're not going to be very good. If you are, you're ahead of the game. We all have our things that we're good at and we're not, all right? So many things that you learn the first day and you play around with it and 10, 15 minutes later you go, this sucks. I am terrible, right? So don't worry about it. Keep it and keep at it. And before you know it, and remember, you don't have to play this in order. You don't have to go, I'm only doing that to show you that no matter what note you play, it'll sound okay, but you don't have to do that. You might end up doing something like, whatever, like, I don't know, anything. You could be playing only 2 and only go here once in a while. These 2 down there once in a while. You can do play these 4 notes in any order, any way. You can play all of them, you can play 1 of them, you can play 2 of them, you can play all of them. It don't matter, okay? So this gets you in the door. Now, what is this Ray scale? Well, I call it that, but it's really an octave scale. Now, it's very, very close to the pentatonic. There's a few notes that are different. But the theory is you start on the root note of the song, of the key of the song you're playing to, or the first chord in a chord progression. case with frets over would be a D, 1 string under would be an F, and 2 frets over is a G. You play those 4. Okay? Now remember, to find an octave, a note, you have to go 2 frets over and 2 strings down. So that means pick any note here. Okay? So if I want to find the next octave of the B note, which is 2nd fret, 5th string, then I'm going to go 2 over, okay? Then I'm going to go 2 strings down and 2 over. So altogether, my first B was right here. I go 2 over and 2 strings down. I don't have to look, the note's a B. But it's the next octave up. So now we've got so if, in our case, we start on a C, okay, our first note, 3rd fret, we can start any C, but remember what we're going to start here. 3rd fret, there's our box. Let's keep going, 1 string more, and again, without looking, I know that that's a C. C, C, okay? Now, we're going to slide this whole unit over. And we're going to start again. C, D, right? C, D. Then we go under here, F, G. Okay? There's our C again. We move over. There's our C, D. Now, we don't go here for the F and the G. That's not a G. Why? It should be, right? Because if we play the C here, C, D, F, G. If we play it here, C, D, F, G. But remember, the way the guitar is tuned, that jump from the last gold string, the G string, to that first silver string, the B, remember that? There's a weird thing going on with the way the guitar is tuned, the 440 tuning. What happens is to maintain the structure, instead of it being directly under, we have to go over 1 fret. So in other words, C, D, F, G, started here on this C, would be C, D, and then we go over 1. There's my F and G. I call it crossing the border. Anytime you cross from the gold strings to the silver strings, when you're freewheeling like I am right now in what we call the Ray scale, or you're just playing random, you want to keep a note structure as opposed to a scale shape. That's a difference, right? If you want to play C, D, F, and G, when you get down to the border, you got to make that transition. C, D, over 1 is F, and then 2 frets up is your G. So this is the same as, or this. Okay? But if you're playing, say, the pentatonic scale, then no, you don't, when you cross the border, you don't go over 1 fret, because the pentatonic scale tells you you have to play these 5 notes, and that's where they are. Go straight down. Don't go over the border. You see the difference? So it doesn't mean that you always do this when you play guitar. You do it more often than not, because it depends how you're playing. If you're playing and you want to play certain notes in order, the way they appear in the gold or browns, yes, you will have to go over 1 fret up to maintain the order of notes. But if you're playing the pentatonic scale, the shape is what you play. It tells you to keep going straight down. Right? Straight down. So we don't cross the border, we go straight down, and then we go over 4, or 3 really, but 4 complete frets to play the next note. If this was the Ray scale and you were just more interested, yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's so many, like some point, I mean, you know, the first year that you're playing, the first 2 years maybe. For me, it was 3 or 4 years before I even though my scale right away, which was so silly because I had no idea what it was or how to use it, but I did because I didn't know any better, right? So I spent months learning a couple of scales. And But generally, yes, you want to learn, use your open chords, as we talked about in the past, to learn songs. The three open chords that you learn in the same key. And then you start playing songs, and you use those songs to work on your right hand and get that sounding right. Okay? That's definitely the best strategy. When we come to play, and we will, I did. I mean, I sat there after a year and thought, I'd really love to be able to sit down with someone and just play notes like people do when I'm playing to me. But I couldn't do it. I didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. I kind of knew, like I knew what the scale was. I just didn't know how to use it. I didn't know how to go about it. And no one ever explained it the way I explained it. Not that I'm doing it right. I'm just saying this is the way I would have liked someone down and say, okay, let's do it this way. Find a note, and here's what you got to do, and here's what you don't got to do, and here's what you could do, and here's what you shouldn't do. But no, I didn't have anybody like, right? Okay. Fingers are going to hurt for a while. Your fingers are going to hurt for a while until you develop, you probably can't see, but until you develop calluses in your fingers. Little round balls, okay, of skin, like anything. Carpenters or tradesmen sometimes have, I was a chef for 30 years, and I always had calluses right inside of this finger where I would hold the knife, okay? It's part of the deal, right? Yeah, well, see, plateauing, everybody plateaus. Everything you guys are throwing out happens to everybody, okay? So all I try to do, approach it like you do investing, okay? You're in it for the long term. So make individual little strides once in a while for the end result, which is the goal down the road, okay? But remember, this is so important, and I can't say this enough, but it's so many times. You don't have to know everything to play a good guitar and to play songs. You don't have to know scales. You don't have to know bar chords. You don't have to know power chords or triplets or triads, or you don't have to know any of that stuff, okay? What happens is we don't know any better because we're learning, we're beginners. So we watch YouTube videos, and videos are aimed at all levels. And a lot of people don't tell you, like they don't say, okay, for you beginners, this is not what you're going to want to do, because they want people to watch. So they're not going to tell you, don't watch. Don't do what you show everybody else to do. So you think, oh, I got to know how to do all this. You don't. All you got to know how to do, this is all you want, is to play 3 or 4 open chords in the same key. That's it. A minor, C, G, A minor, or E, A, D, A, E, D, A, E, whatever those whatever they are, that's all you need. All right, so Captain Kitty Hawk, if that's all you want to do, you got to get into my library, because that's what I'm all about. I am all about 3 chords and the truth, okay? Furthermore, you'll never see me play to bar chords when I do songs, which I'm going to do a song in a little while that's important to me on this day, but we'll get to that in a minute. It's all about, if you want to be a singer or are a singer and you need to play enough chords, then that's all you need to do. You can play the basic version of any song. You don't have to play all the little riffs and licks like the... You don't have to do that. Just play A minor. Okay, so let's say your song is like this. And it sounds cool and everything. You don't have to do that. Just go like this. Da 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 da, and start singing da 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 da, right? And if you're a good singer, then you would use your voice to capture the attention, carry the melody, and your guitar is just helping out, just the supporting act, okay? If you're the opposite and you are a very good guitar player and you're not a very good singer, then you would rely on your guitar skills to help cover the fact that your voice isn't that great. Pretty simple. So for those of you like you, Mr. Investment, remember, guitar is for the long, you're looking at the long haul. But again, you don't have to, and I'm going to play a song very soon, okay? And it's a sample, it's an example of what you can do with just a few open chords. No. Well, I'm not sure about, I guess teachers that you go to, right? Maybe because they want, a lot of people want, look, this is not easy, but a lot of people really enjoy driving that fact home to you that, oh, this is so difficult and you really need me. Secondly, a lot of teachers teach by wherever you live, okay? Like where I live, it's a province of Ontario, and they have a conservatory of music. And if you want to learn piano or guitar, you go to a teacher and they teach you I don't know what they call it, step 1, I guess, or step 2, step 3, class 4, whatever it is, level 4. I think a level is another one. And you have to learn everything in that level. And then you test, right? You got a little test from the teacher, and now you pass. Now you're on level 2. And there's nothing wrong with that. When you're a kid, when you're a young person that inspires to be a professional musician of some sort, studio musician, a member, a songwriter, but you want to make your living in music. Well, yes, you owe it to yourself. Just like if you were going to be a race car driver, a professional golfer, a professional tennis player, a professional chef, you have to go learn the proper technique, all the philosophies and theories behind those techniques, and learn how to implement them and practice them. Absolutely. But when you're 30-something, 40-something, 50-something, 60, 70-something, I get emails regularly from people in their 70s and 80s, right? Captain Kitty, yes, I do. I do, but more on that after. Now, your only goal when you're 50, 60, 70 is either you've always wanted to play guitar your whole life, and or you just want to sit around and play some of your favorite classic songs from yesteryear on your guitar. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, there are exceptions, but for the most part, all you're going to need to do any of that is to learn 3 or 4 open chords, not bar chords, not these, not triads, open chords. Some call them cowboy chords. I call them money chords, all right? These are money chords. This is how all songs are written at the beginning. Almost every song, no matter how it's played and no matter what band, right? Okay? All starts like this. They all sit down and go, okay, I like A minor, kind of sing good to the A minor. Oh, that sounded good. What did I just play? Okay, A minor. Oh, yeah. All right, those are 3 chords, A minor, C, and G, and then back to the A minor. Now, that's a chord progression, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, there are thousands, if not tens of thousands of genres with that chord progression in it. So once you learn that chord progression, it's just a matter of adjusting your right hand as far as how you strum those chords. So for example, da-da-da, da-da-da, that might be a song, but then your next song might be a little different. You play it different. It's different, right? Okay. Campfire singing. A, C, F, E, D, G. Okay, so, all right. So you've got, I'm assuming you mean you know how to play the A, the C chord, the F chord, the E chord, the D chord, and the G chord. So you know all your major open chords. Fine. Throw in an A minor. throw in an E minor, throw in a D minor, and I'm assuming you're not playing your F this way, because you don't have to. Your F major. Play it as a bar chord. You can play it like this. Same. Hear it? There's your F. So you know all your open chords. Now, what I hope you mean is when you say, like when I always say I know 4 chords, that means that I can transition in and out of all of those chords. So if I say I know these 4 chords, A minor means I can, and C, I can go back and forth, A minor. So I know those 2 chords. Now, if I say I want to know a D, and I can do that, then I can say I know 3 chords. So I'm assuming you can play any of those chords in any order. So what did you have? You had A, C, D, F, E, G, right? Okay, now all you got to do is split them up into keys. Because when a song is written, it's written, again, there are exceptions, okay? But most songs are written from the chord in one key. So that list you gave me, all right, take the C, the F, and the G, okay? Of those chords you know. C, F, G, you have thousands of songs. La 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 bum ba, da 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 bum ba, right? I can't play too much of it because I'll get a copyright hit, but those 3 chords are in the key of C. D, F, G. They're the major chords in the key of. So if you just took those 3 from your list and did a Google of songs that are in just F, C, D, there's a whole list of campfire songs right there. Then if you took your other chords, A, D, and E. Young cowboy named Billy Joe grew restless on a farm. A boy filled with wanderlust, never meant no harm, whatever. Now you got all kinds of blues songs. You got all kinds of stuff because those 3 key chords are in the same key, right? So you see what I'm saying? Like you've got it all, but maybe you're not separating. Now, sure, there are some exceptions, and some chords are in keys. But generally, if you were to take A, C, or A, E, and D, and F, C, and G, and then the other 3 you have there, or the others you have there, is you have C, D, and G, okay? So here's my D. And she got a smile that it seems to me he reminds me of childhood. I don't want to do any more because I'll get a copyright. Those 3 chords in the same key form a song. In that case, we all know what that song was, right? Yeah, that's a good point, Harry. And with kids, you never know what you're going to get. And that's the thing. I mean, when you learn anything, if you were to learn how to knit, okay, think of how many you got to figure out and be taught to be able to knit a sweater. Well, if you started out and learned a technique every day, and you played around a little bit and you went on to another one, you played around with that and you went on to another one, well, after a week or 2, you'd probably know how to do a few things, but none of them really well. As opposed to learning the first technique and do it over and over, and over and over and over and over and over until you master it. And then second technique. Well, the guitar's the same. So a lot of people, right? Okay, there's my C, there's my D. Oh, and a G. Ray said to play those 3 chords. So C. All right, I'm good. Let's move on. Bar chords. Let's learn bar chords. Okay, was it G? See, that's not right. And what you should do is take the chords that you learned first and try playing them, try mastering them. It might take you days, weeks, months, That's what I did. The third time I tried to learn guitar. The 2 times failed after a year and time off in between. And the third time I said, you know what? I play these 3 chords. And I'm just going to play those 3 chords. And I sat down every day. And I just played those 3 chords, and till I got my touch and my feel, and I got some rhythm, and don't ask me to play another chord because I don't know one. And you should see how good I got real quick. And then, again, like you, when you use 3 chords to get good, all of a sudden your confidence is through the roof. Because you start sounding like a musician, like a guitar player. You're sounding good. You're playing these chords. Whether they're songs or just a chord progression, they sound good. And you start thinking, hey, this is... Your confidence goes up. Everything goes up. Your guitar foundation is getting better. Left hand, right hand, ear, brain. It's all working. It's all working for you. Now, all of a sudden, someone says, oh, you got to learn that D minor. Well, okay. Well, what is it? Let me see it. Okay, I got to go here like this. Okay. All right, no problem. Let's start it. And you start your D minor. Never play D minor to C, D minor to G, and it's a little weird at first, and you miss it when you go back to the G minor. You hit the wrong string, just like you were a big time. But you know what? There's no more of that weeks and months trying to figure out 2 chords because you're now a guitar player. So you learn a new chord. Most people within a few hours, you got it. The next day, you got it. 2 days, 3 days max, you got it. You're now incorporating being able to transition to a chord, in this case D minor, with your other chords. So now you've slowly built your foundation, and that's what I did. Okay? My first chords I learned were E major. Okay? And I sat there and did this, and then they said, it was in the Guitar for Dummies book. And they said, okay, remove your first finger. So I did. Keep strumming. So I did. Hey, congratulations. You've just played your second chord. And I went like, what? And then I realized, okay, is 1. Take off this finger. I got E minor. I know 2 chords. What they didn't tell me is that very rarely, if ever, will I ever play those 2 chords together, okay? It wasn't until someone told me, hey, man, stop messing around with this stuff. Play G, C, and D. You play every song you want to play in G, C, and D. I went, what? I didn't understand that. I didn't understand how keys worked, how songs were written. I didn't know anything about music at all, right? Right? Didn't know any of it. So someone said, so I said, okay, what do they mean? So I did that. I sat down and I went C, G, D, C, D, in every possible order, okay? And most importantly, I was taking care of my right hand. Because remember, as beginners, and remember how hard we hit? We're all out of time, and sometimes we're fast, and then sometimes we're slow. And we're really just focused, tapping the strings, and we're sweating. Okay, that's natural. That's completely normal. And the pick is moving around in our fingers, and we can't control the pick. That's cool. That happens to everybody. Okay? Hello, Petro. How are you? That happens to everybody. So what I did was I started to just play G, C, and D. Googled G, C, D songs, and wow. I was in a record store, or a music store, and they had the book section, and there was a book. And I'm going to say, 5,000 songs you can play G, C, and D in any order. Those 3 chords in any order. And I was like, what? And I'm flipping through the book. And I should have bought it. I always kick myself because I've never seen it again. And I'm flipping through the book, and there's all these songs that I grew up with, G, C, D. I'm like, wow. So right off the bat, right? You know all these songs if you know 3 chords. And me, anybody out there that just wants to play the guitar, learn how to play the guitar, that's the path. And when I took that path, I went from zero hero overnight. So there were people in that time when I was learning, and I had some friends that played. And I went like 3 weeks and they didn't see me. And we hooked up one night and we were playing, and I'm still very rooty, but I'm playing. And they're like, whoa, hey, oh my God, what have you been doing, man? Like, what have you been doing? It's awesome. Like, what's going on? And it's because I cut out all the distractions, all fancy stuff that I'll never know how to play and never want to know how to play. Those bar chords used to make my hands throb, the back of my hands. And I wasn't very good at them, and they sounded terrible. So I just stopped playing them. And I just kept playing these open chords. And every now and then I'd throw in an A minor, okay? Because when you get to the Holy Grail, that's what I call 4. When you play 4 chord progressions from the same key, you can literally play like umpteen songs. Like there are unlimited amount of songs that you can play. And with Googling songs, you don't notice this. But after a while, you start Googling a song, go, oh yeah, okay, so it's an A minor. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to go to a G after that, or a C. And sure enough, it's A minor G or A minor C. And you just see the same thing come up over and over and over again, because that's the way it works. 50% of all songs written are written in the key of C, a little over 50%. The other 40-something percent split up between all the other keys. That's how popular C is. So I thought to myself, wouldn't it be smart if I learned the chords in the key of C? Well, right? Yes, Captain, I'm here when you need me. Thank you so much for your support, and good luck. Let's get you playing guitar pretty cool, pretty quick, okay? And thanks for joining today. And that's it. The rest is just, you know what? I see those. I used to watch these videos, and it's just a load of crap. People making these videos, fantastic. Some of these, they're very talented. And don't get me wrong, all the stuff they're telling you, it's really good information, just not for a beginner. It's not made. When you pick up your guitar, I mean, you're not going to start playing bar chords and power chords and triads. It's not going to happen, right? You're going to play open chords. And it's going to be like a kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. Like that's the reality, okay? You've got to start from the bottom in anything you do, all right? So just don't get down on yourself. Someone mentioned that they play with their thumb. So what with me, yes, I started with a pick, and I hated the way I sounded, because I hadn't built up a touch or a feel yet, okay? Some say I still don't, but hey, what are you going to do? I hadn't done that yet. So everything sounded like this, and I had no right-hand rhythm. Everything was just choppy and brash and in your face, okay? Because I had no touch and feel, right? So I wasn't happy, and people in my house were complaining, oh, you're making such a racket, go somewhere else with that mess. So what I did one day is I put my pick down, and I played the same chords. And I'm like, oh, nice. That sounds cool. Nice, soft, mellow. And the song that I first learned without a pick, and it's been so long the song, but I'm sure you'll know it. And it starts like this, which is like a D major 7 or something, which I didn't know what that chord was. Google just told me to bar those 3 strings. And it was Ventura Highway by America. And I'm like, wow, does that ever sound cool? And then I got into picking out the bass notes. Right? I'm not sure, Nuck the 3. I'm not sure what you mean there. Is that a question or main let me comment on your post. All I'm getting is card readers on my live. Okay, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're saying there, bud, but okay, so what happened was ears. Remember the guitar foundation? Left, right hand, ears, and brain, okay? Your brain, not so much at the beginning because your theory, you don't know what's going on. So your brain is just there to kind of oversee everything. But all of a sudden, when I did this the first time, I was like, wow, that sounds so nice and mellow. And it sounds like a real guitar as opposed to, like that. So I started playing all the time with my thumb. And then I looked at what they called Travis picking. Now, I didn't get it. And it was too complicated. All right? Because it was, your thumb is on the 6th string. Your first finger's on this string. Your third finger, too much. Don't care about that. I'm 50 odd years old. I don't need to know where my which strings and this and that, okay? So I just started doing this. Using the side of my thumb, the outside of my thumb. Just doing that. To the C. And I liked it. I thought, this sounds cool. D, C, G. And I thought, hey, that sounds real mellow. And so I started playing that way. And then over time, I started to bring this finger into it. Okay? So now I got this thing. So I got thumb. And then the odd time, I just pick up, right? And grab that treble string, that G here, if I'm playing a G. Okay? I thought, hey, this is pretty cool. And then I started figuring out if I grow my nail a little bit on my finger here, then I could be like a pick. When I need it, and I could pick up, run my finger down, right? And I kind of came up with this, it's not my style, but I started playing that way, right? So I discovered, for me, another way that works. Now, I still play with my thumb and my fingers more often than not. I've got a little better, right? So now I'm arpeggiating and just playing the strings of the chord with my fingertips. And I use that style so often. Now, what happened was, okay, I realized, because I thought, hey, I'm so proud of myself. The other thing, I mean, there's so many things about using your fingers. So first of all of a sudden, I didn't have to worry about making a mistake of where my pick was. You know, when you're playing a C, for example, and they tell you, you got to play those 5 strings. And they're right, okay? You got to make sure that when you're strumming in the moment like this, right? Remember, keep that pendulum going. Oh my God. I got to hit my pick on the 5th string only. I can't touch that string. Well, later on I figured out I can mute it, so that if I do hit it, it doesn't make a musical sound. And then of course I realized that I'm not going to be strumming like this all the time. That's that's when you're learning, right? Eventually your strum will tighten up, but that's another story for another day. So all of a sudden I didn't have to be as concerned about where exactly my pick was supposed to be. Like a D chord, I got to put my pick right here, right? String, down, out through the guitar. I didn't have to worry about that. Hello, Rupam, how are you? Love from Canada, buddy. All right, I didn't have to worry about that as much. Why? Because when you use your thumb, the landing spot is a little bigger. You don't have to get your pick exactly right in the heat of the moment and pick down, right? Picking individual, like arpeggiating the strings, like picking individual notes, you don't have to worry about being like this. When you use your thumb, I don't know, it just seems to be a little more forgiving. If I happen to brush that string here, this string, who cares? Like, it just seemed, so it boosted my confidence. I played with my fingers for the longest time. In fact, when I probably shouldn't have, because then when I pick up my pick again, it just sounded even worse than before, right? Very brash and bold and heavy. But what happened with me was I went to like a kitchen party and everyone's sitting around playing and, oh, it's a song I know. I want to play along. So I'm sitting there going, nobody can hear me, right? Because I'm being drowned out by that. So you start banging it. Now you're open, now you're getting sloppy. And not only that, I started getting blisters on the side of my thumb because I'm really working those strings. So there's kind of a fine line. Now, if I'm plugged in, like I'm electrified, then yeah, you can turn up your amp or your speakers or whatever, and you can play fingerstyle, no problem. So be aware of that, you finger pickers, that there comes a time where if your audience, if you're playing in a room that there's people in the background talking and there's just three of you playing guitar and nobody really cares and it's a party atmosphere and there's yee-haw and there's coffee machines going and all that kind of stuff, they're gonna not hear you unless they're like right on you and paying attention. So that's when the pick, don't neglect your pick skills, okay? You are going to need pick depending on how you play. If you're playing outside around a campfire, you're probably going to have to use a pick because people won't be able to hear you over the crackling of the fire, the general conversation in the background. So be aware of that, okay? But yeah, fingerstyle is fantastic, but ultimately it's the pick. Now, someone asked me after my last live, they sent a question saying, I watched your live. Thanks very much. How do you hold your pick? All right. I think there's plenty of ways to hold your pick. Okay. So I'll talk about my. So basically, thumb and forefinger. Okay. But what I do now, some people have their pick pointed the same way as their fingers. So see how my pick is sticking out? Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. But more often than not, I find that you tend to naturally turn your hand when you're strumming. So now all of a sudden I'm actually hitting the strings with the side of the pick more often than not, okay? So what I kind of do is I have the pick sort of tilted back towards me, the point, right? Not 100% perfectly right angle, about a 45. And it's just a matter of touch. So yes, when you start doing this, your pick is going to be like this. It's going to turn around in your hand. I've had it holding on to it like this. So I started picking nicely. And then after a while, I feel it slipping and I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop. It's slipping out of my hand. And I get to that point where and I'm like holding the end of it. All right, if this is happening to you, do not panic and run and get the crazy glue. Don't do that. Okay? This happens to everybody, whether they tell you it does or it doesn't. Not only that, it's going to continue to happen from time to time, even when you get real good. Right? The only difference is when I feel it happening now, okay, if say I'm not paying attention, maybe I'm sweaty, I don't know. I use these, they're from, I think they're called Brian or something is the company. And they're called cat's tongues. And they got like little prickles on them. And I don't think it makes a difference, but psychologically, it feels like it's something gripping your fingers, okay? So when it happens to me now, or when it happens to good players, even today, right, they just are so comfortable, and I am now, that I can just adjust my pick as I'm playing and get it back into the position I want it to be in, okay? Now, over time, you're going to realize, like, I see some people and they just want that, like a millimeter show on the end, right? I think that's too low for me, right? And it gives you a very loud, thumping, bassy kind of pick, right? Now, if you back off all the way, you remember when you were a kid, if you're a certain age, you put sports cards with a clothespin in the spokes of your wheels, and when your bike went around, it went like a roulette wheel, like a, crown and anchor, digga digga digga. Well, if you do the same thing and you put your pick way up like this, your fingers way back, you hear it? So you can like a trebly. Okay? So some people do that. That's part of their sound, is to hold the pick with a lot of it showing. Now you have heavy duty picks and you have light picks. These are things you got to figure out. I use, for strumming, this is about a 0.40. Could be I think. Let me just, I wish I don't have the right light, but 0.53. So I'm half a millimeter, okay? It's bendy, okay? But I like that for strumming. And I leave about 1/4 of an inch outside my fingers. You might want to use less. This is an individual thing that you're just going to have to figure. There's no strategic advantage, like, it's just whatever you get used to. And then there is an advantage, as mentioned, you'll learn how to manipulate your pick to get different sounds. Like I just said, you can back off your pick and let it all stick out and get like a fluttery sound, right? Or you can go down on your pick to get a real nice, deep, exact kind of pick going, right? That's up to you. But if your pick's moving around, that's completely normal. That will go away over time as you get more comfortable. So what's happening right now is your brain is focused, everything you're doing, your brain is focused on. Your eyes are on it. Your ears are on it. Your whole body is, you're so new and you're nervous and you don't know you don't know what's going on. And you're just obsessing on that, getting to that D, getting to that G, that all your effort is on that. And it's not on hold your pick. So after a few strums, 20 strums, whatever it might be, your pick is moved, slid, turned upside down, inside out. That will stop as you get more comfortable, and your brain, just like a computer, your brain starts assigning to certain things. Okay, lefty, he knows what he's doing. He can go from C, D to G really well. I don't have to give it too much energy. It's on automatic. And righty, he knows what's going on. He knows what strings. So I can start thinking. I can start listening to music and putting my brain to other use. That's when your pick will stop moving around as much. Okay? The best way to explain it. Okay? So, yes, I play Freebird, but I can't play it now. Chris, I don't know what you mean by a while. Welcome. If it's weeks, that's way too short of a time. If it's months, you know, after a few months, I didn't have much going on, to be honest with you. Probably, I mean, I should have kept a journal. I didn't. But I would say that after a few months of solid strumming, you know, I probably sounded like this. You know, I couldn't really maintain a solid rhythm. I transitioned between one chord and another and a third maybe, you know, no problem. But they didn't really sound very good. And I wasn't able to keep momentum with my right hand. I would drift in and out of time, or what would be considered time. So, you know, and everybody's different. So I get asked all the time, like, how long will this take me? Don't know. Let me ask you something. How long would it take you to take up a sport you've never played and play it well? Okay? How long would it take you to be a good pool player or snooker player? How long would it take you to be a good golfer? How long would it take you to be a good anything that you're new to? Your job? You just got a new job. You work in a warehouse. You have to drive a forklift. You get on a forklift. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's crazy. You got this wheel that goes 360 degrees. You got to turn it. Like, it's just weird. But after a while, you figure it out. Okay? Same with this. All I can tell you is a little bit every day goes a long way. Okay? And like I tell everybody, and I literally preach here live, don't think you got to know everything about guitar. You don't. You just got to know how to play a few chords. You don't have to know how to play bar chords, power chords, triads. You don't have to be fancy with your right hand at the beginning. You don't have to have any rhythm per se. You don't have any theory. You don't have to know any scales. You don't have to know what the notes are. You don't have to know how chords are made. You don't have to know what key you're playing in. You don't have to know any of that. You can get all that from Google to get you going. Google says play a D, a C, and a G. It's real simple. You Google your favorite song. It says, oh, it's D, G, and C, and they put the chords over the words in the song so you know when to change. Sometimes they're not 100% accurate, but it's enough to get us going. And if that's all you have, and it tells you that you need a D, a G, and a C and a G, then that's what you do. And you play those three chords every day. Okay? Once you get past the point where you know where the fingers go, now you can start worrying about the rhythm and making them sound. Because remember, this is D, this is C, and this is G. And we're not playing music right now, we're chords. This is just chords. Amy, I'll get to you in a second. Okay, I have an answer for you. Right? So this is the basic version of the chords. But as you get more comfortable and you know how to strum your left hand, you don't have to worry about it. Now you can start making those chords. Into music. That's your right hand. All right. Can't master the chords. Okay. All right. So I myself have hand and wrist issues. I have arthritis in these knuckles here. And my wrist, I wear like a tight support. Okay. So I can write. And a lot of times things like, yes, I play some bar chords. Okay. And you will too one day. And my bar chords And people I know with bad fingers play chords different. So they tell you to do certain things. I can't do that on a regular basis. So I got to cheat with my bar finger, but it still sounds good. Okay, so the reason I tell you that is don't worry about injuries. You'll end up figuring a way, just like if you were a little kid or a girl and your fingers aren't, you'll figure out how to get your fingers into the right position. When you start playing guitar, your hand is going to improve dexterity. It's just going to happen, okay? You're going to start being able to move your fingers further apart and stretch them out. It's just evolution. It will happen, okay? But I think what you mean, or your issue is, you can't master the chords. Okay, so why don't we do this? I don't know how many chords you're trying to master, or how many chords you're trying to learn, what chords you're trying to learn, what kind of chords. I'm assuming they're open chords that are played here, C, D, G, E's, things like that, right? Okay, if that's the case, just play 3 of them. Pick 3 of those chords from the same key. C, D, G, A, D, E, D, A, and forget the other chords for a while. Forget them for a while, okay? And play those 3 chords only, or 2 of those chords. Okay, G, C, C, G, C, G, C, G, C, and just play 2 chords, okay? Again, without knowing exactly what you're doing, it's really hard, to kind of pinpoint and maybe offer a bit of decent advice. But I think in your case, like in some cases, people think, and I did when I had to know all the chords. You don't have to know all the chords. You don't have to know all the techniques. You just got to know enough to get you playing. Generally, that's anywhere from 2, 3, or 4, but I'll say 3 open chords in the same key. So G, C, D, C, F, G, G, A, D, any of those 3 combinations, E, A, D, 3 chords in any of those combinations, or sets of 3, right? And learn how to roll those chords backwards and forwards. And when you get to that point where you don't have to look, that you know that you're going to go C, G, D, and you don't really have to look anymore. As soon as you get there, start working on this hand. So take those, remember, like this as a beginner, start implementing different strums. I'm on the C chord. It's just downstrokes, but it's different. We didn't begin like this. I wasn't a beginner playing this. But now I'm little choppy strokes. Make something. That's all I did was downstrokes, right? People get hung up having to be fancy from day one. You don't have to be fancy. When I first saw a strumming pattern, I'm like, what is that? So I tried to do it, and it was like, and I was very, very confused, and it was difficult, right? I just wanted to do this because it was easy, and it helped my sound good, and that boosted my confidence. And then one day, after doing this for so long, I guess confident, and I just started doing other things. And always change on the down for now, right? No matter what pattern you're playing, change your chords on the downstroke. So if you're doing this, down, down, right? Little things like that repetitively. And I'm talking, again, you want to be a rugby player. You were a rugby player. What did you do to be a rugby player? Well, you probably started young, and you probably did it, if not every day, as often as you could, right? You read about rugby, you played rugby, you watched rugby, you did everything rugby. You learned from coaches how to hold the ball, how to pass the ball, little things about the game. All right, you got to do the same thing here. You can't just pick something up and say, okay, I think I'm going to learn how to cook today, and you're opening a restaurant and being the chef in 2 weeks. Not going to happen. Right? I think I'm going to learn how to drive this sports car today. Okay, so a month later, you can't expect yourself to be in the Grand Prix. Right? Same with a guitar. You obviously know that now, but sometimes we think we should be better than we are quicker. We've been good at things our whole life. And sometimes it takes a little longer, right? Hammy, is it Hammy Shadat? I can't say that if you're not very good at acoustic guitar to go and play electric. Now, there are some pros and cons to taking that strategy. First of all, an electric guitar is physically easier to play. Usually the neck is shorter by a little bit. Most importantly, the neck is usually narrower, so you get your fingers around better. The frets are closer together, and the strings are much lighter. So they bend easier and they move easier. It may not be as hard on your fingertips. Okay? So a lot of people say, well, I can't play bar chords on an acoustic guitar, but when I go to electric, I can play all these bar chords. Well, yeah, that's true. That is very true. But what I will tell you is it's important that you learn on an acoustic guitar for a few reasons. First of all, yes, it is a bigger instrument, so it's physically more demanding. So if you start that way, when you move to electric, it's going to be like butter. Just like if you play bass guitar, it's longer, thicker, the strings are thicker, the frets are further apart, they're hard to push, hurts your fingers more. But when you pick up an acoustic guitar after, oh wow, this seems like a kid's thing. It's so small, it's so easy. And the same with electric, from acoustic to electric. You may or may not be a better electric guitar player, but I'm saying that if you're having trouble with acoustic, there's a good chance you're going to have trouble with an electric as well, because the notes are the same, the techniques are the same. The only difference is when you play acoustic guitar, you are hearing raw note, the raw sound, the raw pitch, the raw tone, the raw voicing of an A minor and a C. Okay? It's coming out of that hole, you can hear it. When you play electric guitar, all of it really depends on, I mean, you cannot play an electric guitar that isn't plugged into something, whether it's an amplifier with what? Effects, or it's pedals, or a mixer, or whatever. Something has to bring that sound to life. And so often, certain pedals have a lot of sustain. So what I mean by that is if I hit this note here, G, 3, 4, 3, 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, gone, right? An electric guitar, I could hold that depending on the pedal that I'm using and I can make that go 2 minutes long. So every time I move my finger, it'll change the pitch as that note rings out. So on an electric guitar, a lot of times you play a note and work that note to the next one, especially in these ones here. I can do it a little bit here, though, right? Like, whoa. On an electric guitar, that's kind of the idea, right? So your way that you play notes and chords on electric guitar is a little different philosophically than on an acoustic guitar. On an acoustic guitar, more often than not, you pretty much always got to keep the strum going to keep the sound coming. On an electric guitar, I could do that, and the sound can carry on for a long time. You know, but at the end of the day, it's whatever you want. What kind of music do you want to play? What kind of guitar do you want to play? If it's electric for you, by all means, right? Then go for it. Don't think you'll find it's an answer to being good all of a sudden. If you're not very good with the acoustic guitar, there's a good chance you're not going to be that good with an electric either. You might sound different, and you may enjoy the way you sound. Doesn't mean you're going to be better. Okay? But by all means, whatever works for you, right? Great state of Maine. We're not too far away. I grew up actually in Montreal. We used to go down to Plattsburgh, all throughout there. And so I'm very familiar with that area of the country. I'm now closer to Toronto, so we're not as close, but welcome. And I'm not sure who's above you there, if that's or Tatbaya, if that's how you pronounce it. Welcome. Welcome, Cheryl. Thank you. Thank you for loving it. I'm just a guy like you, probably. I mean, I taught myself to play guitar a while back. I am not a professional musician. I don't say I am. I'm also not a guitar teacher. I don't ever profess to be. But I do know how I started playing song within no time. After 2 failed attempts to play guitar. Played for a year, quit, couldn't figure it out. Like some of the comments, I couldn't match my chords, my hands were sore, I wasn't sounding good, I wasn't enjoying it, all that stuff. So I put it down for many months, and I picked it up again. And of course, I was so smart the second time that I did exactly as I did the first time. I watched all these complicated YouTube videos thinking, well, I guess I got to know how to do this to be a guitar player. And I wasted months and months and months trying to learn advanced techniques from all these whippersnappers, shredding the fretboard and everything else. Here, do this. Right, okay. I spent months and months and months doing that, wasting my time, right? Third time, I said, none of that. Nuts to all that stuff. I know 3 chords. C, D, and G. And I just played those chords every day. Did songs, didn't know how to play songs. Just played those chords. Then I started playing songs with, you guessed it, G, C, and D, right? She got a smile that it seems to me he reminds me. I play it all because of copyright. Right? And all of a sudden I realized, well, wait a minute. There's thousands of songs, G, C, D. All I got to do is play them differently. And I was off and running at that point. And then I just brought it. I had played E before in one of my sessions of learning. I learned an E, and I knew how to play, what did I play? I played a D, E, G, E, E minor. That was really it. And then I added slowly the D minor and the A minor and all that stuff, right? But I just played 3 chords over and over and over again. I even went to open mics, and I played songs from those 3 chords, and got to the point where someone would say, hey man, sounds pretty good. And I'm like, in my head, yeah, but you know what? Those are the only 3 chords I can play, and those are the only 3 songs that I know. but I knew them really well. And then, like I tell everybody, that gave me confidence, right? That made me think, hey, you know what? I could be a guitar. I'm a guitar player. Like, I sound good. People say I sound good. Right? So the analogy is, okay, I drive a car, but I couldn't go into a Formula One race against the professionals. But I can get in my car, and I can drive 6 hours in my car and drive good. But doesn't mean I'm a professional race car driver. So let's take that mentality to the guitar and say, okay, I'm 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever. I don't want, nor will I ever be in a professional band making a living off music on stage at Madison Square Garden or O2 Arena or Wembley or whatever it is. Okay? But that doesn't mean I can't sit around and play some cool songs that I grew up with, that my friends like, that I like. So you look at the tab sheets and you see, okay, that song is E, A, right? Done. That's all I got to learn. And I can play that song. To sound like, name your guitar player here, Jimmy Page or Jeff Beck or Eric Clapton. I don't have to do that. In fact, I probably won't do that. But that does not mean that I cannot enjoy my guitar and play these amazing songs. Because I can with practice, right? Giuseppe, fellow guitarist here, 35 years playing. Nice. Ah, great. Hey, thank you, Giuseppe. Well, there you go. 35 years playing guitar. And he may or may not be a professional. There's a good chance he isn't a professional. He's just someone that has been playing for 35 years. And he may be really, really good, but he may not be either. He might have only, over his 35 years, might have decided that he just wanted to stay in one little niche and play whatever. Okay, so don't think that just because you pick up a guitar, you have to have an end result of being a professional musician. I know many, many people that have been playing guitar 20 plus years. And to be honest, they play the same repertoire of songs over and over again. And when you challenge them to learn a song, they kind of fight it, because as humans, what we do is we like to do things that we're good at. We don't practice we practice what we're good at, so we sound good to ourselves and anyone who's watching, when we really should be practicing the things that we're not good at. Right? Okay. So it's so common for people to be playing guitar 20, 30 years and only know how to play 4 chords. The same 4 chords. In different order, but they only played 4 chords. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because with 4 chords and a capo, I can play any song in any key that's ever been written. Okay? So, and that's a whole other lesson. There's plenty in my library about that, about using a capo and stuff like that. That's just, we'll touch on it here in the lives eventually, and I have before. So there's so many ways that we can take our 3 or 4 chords that we only know and stretch those out, okay? Hey, I'll give you a real quick example. Now, there's a reason I'm not playing songs, because of this. YouTube has this huge copyright thing. And they'll make me take the live down. And I really like people, if they missed it, they can watch it after. So I'm just going to give you one way of how we can do things that with 4 easy chords that we really shouldn't be able to do. A long time ago, there was a song that I really wanted to learn and play, because it was a song from growing up. And I looked at it, and it was in the key of E. It was very complicated because it was all bar chords, okay? It was, I think the E was okay, but like an F sharp, and then a G something, and then a C sharp or a B. It was all these bar chords, and it lost me. I'm like, I can't do this. Forget it. And I just said, okay, I'll never be able to play that song. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Well, lo and behold, when I started to figure things out, okay, I could take a capo. And this is just one example. Now, the key of E, I'm going to put the capo on 4, right? So now I have a capo on 4. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing behind the capo and whether you should use it, not, and when, and all that stuff. I'm just giving you a quick sort of example of how, as amateur musicians, we can do things. So the song in general was a song by Journey, okay? And and it had all bar chords in it. But I found out over time that if I put a capo on 4, okay, and I play the chords that I know how to play, C, G, A minor, that kind of, listen. Singer in a small town room, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, but a mile making sure a light day goes on and on. I'm sure you know the song. I hope I don't get dinged on the copyright, but I was able to play that song by playing simple O chords that I've known forever. As opposed to saying, okay, I got to learn, if I want to learn that song, I got to learn this chord, right? Then I got to learn this chord. So it'd be then I think it's a G sharp major. Oh, come on. I can't do that. Put a capo on 4 and play the chords from the key of C, and I'm playing that song. Okay? So again, like, then people yell at you and go, oh, hey, you should just learn it in the proper key with the proper bar chords. Don't cheat. Well, okay, good point, and I'm not going to go on about it. But there are a lot of times, here's another example of a song that I like to play. Do 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 do. Do 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 do, and I wait. Okay, but I don't want to play the B minor, let's say. Or you know what it is in this case? I don't like the way that sounds. It doesn't match my voice. So I get a capo, I put in 2, and I play the chords one step lower to all the chords in the song. So in other words, instead of starting on a D, I start on a C. And I wait for you, right? And I like the way it sounds with my voice. I'm not doing it because I don't know how to play the B minor. I clearly do. I'm doing it because I like the way this voice, I'm still in the key of D because I'm playing a C with a capo on 2. So I'm still in the key of D. I'm in the song, just like I was with the Journey song. I was in the key of E. But I like the way it sounds. See? Tom Petty does this a lot, uses a capo on a lot of things because 2 reasons. One, he thinks that voicing that he's getting from those chords with the capo sounds better with his vocals. Okay? And as a singer, like, you got to be comfortable with how you sound. Secondly, note picking that are available with a capo on a certain, fret, then that wouldn't exist if you were playing open with bar chords. There could be some notes. So for example, here with a capo, this is my C note, right? That I can play. I play a little off that C note. But if I don't have that here, then I don't have that C note there. That note now a D. So there's little examples of why you would use a capo. It's not always because, as a lot of these guitar snobs, I call them, oh, you don't know how to play a bar chord, or you just, you're just cheating. Those are snobs. They're always around. I just ignore them, and you will too. No, that's not the case. It's because I happen to like the way it sounds with a capo on better. Okay? Remember, when we put a capo on, we're moving the nut up. So the strings get shorter, and they get tighter, and they get higher in pitch, and some of us like that. So often I will take a capo and stick it on, say, 3, and just play chords. Now I'm playing a C right now, but I'm not really playing a C. I'm playing a C shape, but I'm actually playing an E flat, okay? but I get to use the C, and I just like the way it sounds. I don't care if that's an E flat or a C. I just know that I'm playing it as a C because I like the way it sounds, and it's easy to play because these are the only chords I know. So this C, G, D with a capo on 3 is actually E flat. I think I said D flat before. It's not. It's E flat, right? Because it's C, 2 frets would be a D, and then one more would be a D sharp, which is an E flat. So I'm playing E flat, right? Now I'm going to the G. Now I'm playing B flat or A sharp, and then my D, I'm playing E. I'm playing F. Okay, so I'm actually playing those 3 chords, but I'm playing C, G, and D. So that's all we're going to talk about today as far as capo. I think I've exhausted my repertoire of Indian songs, Dylan. All right, so we started about, we're going to end the way we started here, and it was about picking notes. For those of you are not yet comfortable, you're standing around the pool, you got your toe in the pool, you know a scale, you know what you're supposed to do with it, or play a lead or a riff or a lick from a song or a chord progression or another guitar player, your buddy's playing guitar, and you want to play along and pick out some notes, but you don't know where to start. Okay? So what I would recommend, learn one scale, and that's the minor pentatonic. It's the all-purpose flower of scales. It goes with everything. Or learn my scale. I call it the RAYRAY scale, and it's so easy. It's all based on 2 frets apart, 1 up and down at a time. So what I mean by that is, when we play along, so right now we're going to imagine we have another guitar player or 2, and they say to you, hey, Cheryl, play along with us, okay? But you don't know what to do, right? Okay. All you need to know, what key are you guys playing in? And they say, we're going to play in the key of C. Great. All you got to do to keep things simple, find a C anywhere on your fretboard, anywhere. That will depend on where you go, will depend on A, how comfortable you are playing in a certain area of your fretboard, but also more importantly, what you should be thinking of is if the song is low, meaning it's played here in the open position, you may not want to play a C here. If they're playing like this, you may not want to play, or you may want to play to give it that contrast. So that's the first thing you got to figure out is where am I going to play my C? So that's simple. And let's play it where we play our chords, right here. Okay? So I'm going to play a chord progression, but first I'm going to set you up. So these people are playing C, A minor, F, G. Common chord progression. C, A minor, F, C. Okay? That's what they're going to play. And they're asking you to play along. Oh my God, I'm sweating, I'm panicking, I don't know. Yes, you do. You go to C, that note right here, C. 5th string, 3rd fret. That's a C. It's the end of our C chord right there. Okay? While they're playing, you play the C and go up 2 frets right here. You got a D, right? Because up 2 frets from a C is a D. So you got it. Now, if you really want to have fun, go down string and do the same thing. So C, D, and then go down 1 string, and that's an F, always under a C, and 2 up is a G. So now we have C, D, F, G, C, D. You can play it in order. You can play it backwards. You can play it any way you want. No rules. Play those 4 notes any way you want. So remember that. Start at a C. Okay, I call this a box, a 4-note box. C, D, Underneath is F and G. C, D, F, G. C, D, F, G. Now, if you're not used to this, it might take a while. Fingers working, but it won't take long. And it's fun. All right, so there's your 4 notes. Right? That's it. Okay. Let's start the chord progression. Got your... They're playing, and you're thinking, man, these guys are good. I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. Oh, my God. You just do this. In any order. Okay? Yeah, it's rudimentary, it's basic, but it sounded good. The notes are right. When you get better, you'll realize I can play those same notes somewhere else. C, D, F, G. So let's find another C. Right here, right? C. Let's go back here. C. When you get really good, let's try a different sound. Same notes. C, D, F, G. C, D, F, G. Then as you get a little more comfortable, you'll start listening to the tempo, picking up the vibe of the progression and playing to it. But if you don't do that and you just play like a robot, I'm just playing like a robot, you're going to sound just fine. Or you go here and do it. Right? You're in the game. You're in the pool. You're playing lead or lick. You're doing it. Okay? So if you get yourself a backing track, okay, and the backing track, you only have one. You have no control over it, and you look at it, and the backing track, because Ray said get a backing track, so I got this only one I could get. And you look at it, and it starts in B flat. Oh, I don't even know. What's a B flat? I have no idea. I don't know how to play in B. Oh, my God. All you got to do is to B flat. So we know that that's a C, right? That's a B. That's a B. Okay? That note, you start there and you go 2 frets up. You don't even have to know that that's a C. B flat to there, and you go 1 string under, and you play those 2. So your box, instead of it being C, D, F, G, it's B flat, C, E flat, F. So now you're playing. Want to move it somewhere else? There's your B flat. My 4-note box. Where else do I have a B? There's a B flat right here. There's my B flat. Same, the notes are different, but it's the same concept. You're playing 4 notes in a box of the root note of the key. Okay? Everything else will take care of itself. When you're playing in, say, B flat, or playing in G, okay, so if that's the same thing, the chord progression, the only one you could get was G, start at a G. A, C, D. So now my 4 notes are G, A, C, D. And if I play a G here, there are these 4 notes, G, A, C, D. Same notes, they just sound a little higher because I'm playing them higher up. And I could just sit there and do this all night to the key of G. No problem. Okay? Now, eventually your ear will tell you when the best note to play is over whatever chord is playing. Now remember, you don't know this, and I don't want to freak you out. You don't need to know this, but theory-wise, what's happening here is G is the root. Okay? So there's our G, the root note. The second 2 frets up is an A. So G, A, right? Well, in the key of G, the first chord is a G chord. The second chord is an A chord, right? We have G and we have A. First notes. In chords, it would be G and A, but it's not an A major because it's not a 1-4-5. It's an A minor. So this, right, G, A, would be really nice to play over this. G, A minor. G, A minor, because that's the second chord in the key of G. The first one is G, the second one is A, in this case A minor. So let's see if I got my, I think I can do this. I've got my, so let's say someone's playing G to the A minor, to the G. I don't have my looper. It's not. I don't have it connected to the thing. Sorry. Okay. So I couldn't show you looping it. But anyways, if you had a G and an A chord playing and you played a G and an A note, it's kind of amazing. So don't get intimidated when you see these guys in the video and they're shredding their board and they're making things sound, all kinds of squealing guitars. There's a few reasons for that. They're basically doing what you're just learned. They might be using a scale. So they might be using the A minor pentatonic, which through the middle is a 4-note box, right? There's A, C, and then it goes right down. These 3 just like boxes that we just did, right? Okay, but they might be using electric guitar with different effects on the guitar, right? So it sounds crazy and it just, but they're just doing what we just did. They're faster, they're using some slides. They got a little better rhythm and tempo than you. Still. But that's all they're doing is what you just did right now. They're just doing it better than you, which you will do better when you practice. So, all right. I think that's it for right? We've covered a lot of stuff. We've had a lot of people come through. Got a chance to answer some questions. And I think a lot of us, I'm going to learn some Indian music for Dylan because he likes Indian music. And so you have to, it's kind of an inside joke. You had to have been here at the beginning of the live stream. And hopefully this will pass copyright. I know I played little snippets of a few songs, and YouTube is so strict on copyrights now. And I can still post this, but I'd have to go back and I have to edit out all of the copyrighted material and blah, blah, blah. I just say forget it and I delete it. Okay, that's just the type of person that I am. And so to avoid that, I try not to play any but I will leave you with a song that I would like to play for you. It's one of my own songs, and it's a song I play twice a year. Well, I mean, I play it more when I get it requested or if I do gigs and stuff, but it's a song I play twice a year. And today is one of those days. It was my mother's birthday on Halloween. She has been gone. I'll answer that something in a minute. My mom has been gone now for over 20 years. Still miss her every day. And without getting into all the story, the last time I saw my mother was on the passenger drop-off ramp at Heathrow Airport in London, England. And I wrote this song about that time. I didn't write it then. I wrote it about last time I saw my mother alive. and it's simply called Mama. I hope you enjoy it. And for those, take note of the chords. You're all alone, your last hour's 3,000 miles away. In the land of the cold and damp, ain't that what you used to say? You close your eyes, hold on tight, you think I'm on my way. But there were things to do, people to see. Oh mama, give me just one more day. She said, son, I think I'm gonna die tonight. She said, son, I just can't wait till the morning's bright. I said, mama, I can't be with you tonight. Seems like yesterday, your smile was bright, you had a twinkle in your eye. Now I hold you tight, our last goodbye neath the dreary Heathrow sky. I gotta go, I just can't stay. Oh mama, please don't stop. You see the rovers running, bobbies are hassling, my plane's all ready to fly. She said, son, I think I'm gonna die tonight. She says, son, I just can't wait till the morning's bright. I said, mama, yes, I'll be with you tonight. Oh, I can't be there for you. No, I can't take you to the guiding light. No, I can't hold your hand tonight. After all the crying, all the trying to stay in my dreams so right. On a 305 Y2K3, it took a piece of me that night. And in the morning, the heavens open, cast a blanket oh so white. Now I got nowhere to go, no one to see. Oh mom, I'm ready for my final flight. And I said, mama, I think I'm gonna tonight. I said, mama, I just can't wait till the morning's bright. You said, son, oh yes, I'll be with you tonight. And she said, yes, I'll be there for you. Yes, I'll take you to the guiding light. Come take my hand, I've been waiting for you. That's what she said. She said, come take my hand, I'll be waiting for you. Uh, yeah, like 21 years. And it doesn't get any easier. And there's a reason I don't do that song very often, because it does, it does get into me a little bit. But anyways, look, aside from that, all I did was 4 chords. So in this case, C major to the F, and that was the bulk of the verse. And then the chorus was coming off of the F to the C, to the G, to the F. Remember that, those 3 chords I told you about earlier in the key of C? F, C, G, F. You'll find music, that's just the way it works. And if you tore apart all kinds of songs, you're going to find tens of thousands of songs with this in it. It's how you play it, how you sing over it, the melody that makes it different, all that kind of stuff. But it's still the 3 songs, or the same 3 chords. Okay? And that little riff that you heard is just a walk up, or a walk down in this case, from F to C major 7, right? Just like we learn walk-ups from G to C and C to G. It's the same thing. So there, again, whatever you thought of the song, that's fine. But anybody could do that. Not tomorrow, not the first day, maybe not in the first while, but at some point, you're going to realize, hey, if I put these 3 chords together, they're going to sound good. And that's all I did. Okay? So to answer your question, how long have you been writing music? Well, I started writing about a year and a half after I started playing guitar. I've always been a writer, meaning I've always written stories. I grew up in an era we had no computers and everything was written. Sorry. And so I've always been able to express myself with pen. Okay. So I started writing about a year and a half after I started playing guitar, and I knew some basic chords. And then, everybody knows my journey. I quit, and then I came back and I played another year and quit. And then I came back and I just played with 3 chords until I got really good at those 3 chords, and the rest is well documented here. Well, then I went back to the song. There were 2 songs that I wrote. Well, this was one of them, and I changed because I realized, oh, wait a minute, I made a mistake. I can't go to this chord. I had this. I was going to like an A minor somewhere, and it didn't work. And now I know why. And secondly, my voice got a little better. Okay, some people, yeah, you still can't sing. I don't care. That's fine. But as you progress vocally, then obviously all of a sudden voice may not sound the same with the original chord that you wrote it with, or in the original key even that you wrote it in. So you have to adjust that. Different key, different chords, etc. So to answer your question, I had been playing about a year and a half. I've got about, I don't know, I've got 16, 17 songs, and I've got about another 10 kind of finished, half finished. I know what I want to do with them, but I just haven't been able to sit down and do it because now I'm on this YouTube and it's sucking all the time out of my life. Okay. So, but yeah, but I'm not obsessive about things. In fact, I'm not one of those people that's always writing something. I'm not a professional musician. I do gigs, yes. I'm recording music, yes. I will have some songs on like Spotify just for the heck of it, yes, will. But I'm not making a living off of it. I used to do more gigs. Now I can't really be bothered, but I do some gigs. So there you go. Something great. Thank you so much for your kind words. It's a song, like as you could see, I can't do it very often because it really tugs at me. And if for anybody out that's writing or want to write or ask about writing, look, if you want to be a songwriter and a singer guitar player, then what you would do from day one, first of all, learn your chords within the keys. So don't start learning random chords like an E and then an F and then a G and then an A. Don't do that. Look at the key of E and learn the open chords, which is only two in the key of E. I use D as well. I use EAD in the key of E because B is actually the other major chord, EAB, and it's a bar chord. A lot of people don't know how to play it. Hard chord to play. So I play EAD. GCD in the key of G, CFG in the key of C, DAG in the key of D, right? Those three chords, those are the major chords. Start there. Start playing those chords, hearing what they sound like, and try to match your voice to it. Hey, ha, to the G now, to the G, G, D. Hey, I don't know, I've been told eyes like yours are pure gold, and when I look in, I'm just making that up, but I'm just, you know what I mean? Start there. Keep it simple. You're going to look at it and go, no, that's so corny. It might be. So you change a couple of words, play a different chord. It's like polishing it up. Nobody, I mean, I guess the odd real superstar, but nobody sits there and goes, okay, I'm going to write a song. 15 minutes later, let's record it. No. A lot of people, and I've read books and listened to podcasts and they've interviewed songwriters and blah, blah, blah. For years I've been doing this. And more often than not, they'll say, oh yeah, that song. Well, let me tell you, that one, I must have worked on that thing 2 years, okay? And I changed it so many times and we switched keys and then someone else had to come in and help me. Like, it's not easy, but it can be easy. I'll give you one tip, okay? Write about something that stirs an emotion in you, whether it's sad, happy, sexy, beautiful, whatever it is. I'm not going to do it now, but I wrote a song after watching something on TV about 2 years ago in the States, out of Memphis, Tennessee. On CNN one night, didn't even know what I was watching. It just happened to have it on, this news channel, which I never watch. And they were talking about this case of these cops murdered this kid. They put him in handcuffs, him to death. And it was right there on camera. There was multiple cameras that recorded this. And I was so outraged and disgusted. And it was traumatic. You're watching, they warn you and everything, but you're watching someone get killed. Not a movie, not a show, in real life. And I was so that I came downstairs and I picked up my guitar and I wrote a song I had the whole song basically in about 45 minutes. And then, of course, over the next couple of days, I sort of, ironed it out a little bit. And it's called Memphis Blue. We'll do it one day, and I am planning on recording it. And but it was easy to write because of the emotion. Okay, so a lot of songwriters will tell you there's a reason there's not a lot of young writers, because they haven't lived long enough to be hurt or upset or mad or happy or thankful or whatever. And those are the emotions that you draw on to write songs. Now, I'm not saying you have to, but for me, when something is raw, like an emotion, it's much easier to write. That's probably the best tip, okay? Ross, this is a Taylor 416. Do I take song requests? Sometimes. I can't tonight because I want this video to stay up. And YouTube is very tight about copyrights. So if I do copyrighted material, I'll have to either delete the video or delete the sequence and all that kind of stuff. But some nights I do. I just come on and I play some of my own songs. I play cover songs. If I know the song someone requests, I'll play it. If I don't, sometimes I'll search it in front of you and learn it as we go. But today's not one of those days because those videos, I just throw them out. Once the show it gets deleted, there's no copyright. So that's sorry. And I don't really do Metallica. I'm more of a laid back acoustic guy. I like Metallica. I just don't play any of their songs. Yeah, no problem. Something great. I guess that's what I'm all about. And so I did sing one of my own already. It's a song called Mama, I One More. How's that? And then I'm going to call it because I've been here a while. I'm getting a bit from all the talking, but this is, people used to ask me, hey, did you write a COVID song? Right? And I used to think, what's a COVID song? Like, you know, like, is it something like, I got snot dripping, the chills are dripping, they're gripping, oh, I'm sick. I don't know. I guess what it is, you know, with all that time of reflection, did you write a song during COVID? And I really did. And then over the course of about 4 weeks, I found out that 3 people that were once very close to me and part of my life, a big part of my life, had passed away. And not only did I not find out about it, but there was no server or anything like that because of all the restrictions in place. So I started to think, what would that be like? So I did write a song. It's called Dying Alone. There's a cold wind blowing, blue skies flowing, marks a new day. An old cobble path and a crooked cross sure as hell marks the way. And shadows from your past laying dark across them pews. I guess they saw, heard the news. The preacher man, don't you dare close them doors, 'cause I don't want to lie here on my own. No, I don't want to lie here on my own. Oh, they'll be coming soon, I know, 'cause I've already died alone. See, I lived my life on the outside of love, just looking in. I played the game just hard enough to get the win. I'd pack my pain in a bag, put a ticket in my car, 'cause they can't find you if you don't know where you are. Now preacher man, don't you dare close their doors. I don't want to lie here on my own. I don't want to lie here on my own. They'll be coming soon, I know, 'cause I've already died alone. The future's gone and the past ain't coming back. I'm chasing gold one-way railway track. My little girl, come and say goodbye to your old dad. I don't lie here on my own. I don't want to lie here on my own. No, I don't lie here all on my own. See, I've already died. Yes, I've already died all alone. All right, there you go. That was called Dying Alone. And that Velvet song. But you can interpret that any way you want. But yeah, so, all right. Again, simple open chords. I happen to have a capo on 2. That's only for vocally. It doesn't change the chord structure. You could play that open. Just be lower. That's all. It'll just be lower. So for those of you that have that voice, that's how you would play this song, right? So there you go, Kieran. And I'm from Brazil, learning to play the guitar, but I'm lost in the rhythm. Hey, look, it'll come, okay? Don't go crazy about, all this fancy rhythm and tempo and timing talk, and don't put yourself down if you can't keep time. Start with a backing track or a simple track or a metronome and time your downs to the click. Click, 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 right? Okay? And when you get a little better, you add your ups in between the clicks. So click, 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 right? It's just practice. It's just a matter of the first time you do things, it's awkward. You don't know what you're doing, but you'll get it. And don't get hung up on strumming patterns and things. What you saw me do, and the song I did before that, I wasn't adhering to any strict strumming patterns. I was strumming when I wanted that tonality to come up. So in other words, I wasn't going, I don't want to lie here on my own. I sort of just, like, sometimes I would. And other times I would be playing maybe, or I might be playing, like, it's just comfort. These are things, touch, feel, rhythm, tempo, timing. That's not happening day 1 or 2 or 30 or 90, probably not even 160. You'll get a little better, but it takes truly a long time to get that touch. Okay? Just keep at it every day. A little bit at a time, you get a little better and a little better. Okay? Well, thanks. I'll take that as a compliment any day of the week. So once again, for you guys that have just stumbled upon me and this and it, I'm Ray. I'm a small channel here on YouTube, a little over a year old. We basically specialize in getting you to play guitar as quick as possible, the most basic way possible, and then build from there. So in other words, instead of, which I've tried, learning all these extensive techniques and by the book technique, bar chords and power chords and triads and scales and all that kind of stuff, forget it. That you can bring that in later into your repertoire once you've built up skill and confidence. Let's just get you playing 2 or 3 open chords, okay? Could be as simple as playing G and C. Two chords. Okay? Add a third chord, add an A minor. Now we got this. Okay? The rest, how you make it sound, is up to just you. Your guitar foundation, your left hand, your right hand, the way you strum, the feeling that you get for it, the touch, all that stuff. Okay? Go all night till he discovered the guitar. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. It's some form of humor. That's cool. All right, streets fast food. It's okay, Topper. No, I can't take any requests because I don't want this to get copyrighted. I like to keep it up. So, anyways, we've been at it for quite some time now. Well over a couple of hours. Time to say goodnight. Again, for all of you, I'm just a guy that taught myself how to play guitar. I have a library, over 300 videos of things that I did, the way I practice, little things that may help you. I come on live at least 2 or 3 times a week. We talk about all things guitar. You can ask me questions. I try to answer the best I can, try to demo if I have to. And sometimes I come on and just play songs. Today we did a little bit of both. And if you think I help you, by all means, please hit that subscribe button. And also by doing so, I don't know about how that bell thing works, but you'll get notified when I come on live. Next week, I'll be announcing a schedule of live shows. So we'll be live the same time every whatever that is. And then I also come on around that spontaneously just to, hey, why not? And so if you think you can help and you want to support, the best way is to, hit that subscribe button. It is the best way. Now, of course, you can always buy me a coffee if you're so inclined. I'd be more than happy for that, but not necessary. Just subscribe and that's it. Okay? If you have any questions, they'll be coming, Topper, no problem. They come quite a bit, and I post usually a full-length video, sometimes 2 every week. Probably be 2 throughout the winter, one for more of a beginner and one for someone a little more upper class, like maybe playing a year or so and you want to learn cool other little techniques or whatever. And again, you'll find out about it by being a subscriber, and I post little shorts every day. And again, I'm always live, so I'm always here for you to ask questions. Because that was so, when I was learning, I had no one to ask questions to. I'd watch all these videos, and while men didn't really understand because it was way over my head, I felt that if I could have only asked questions, right, that would have really, really, really helped me, right? All right, guys. She got a smile that it seems, no, she got a smile that it seems to me. He reminds me of childhood memories, and everything was as fresh as a bright blue sky. Okay, that's all I can play because of copyright. So long, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hey, Shed, how you doing? You came too late. Bye from Ireland. Hey, another Irish subscriber and water with Dermot, for sure. I was wondering with the name Kieran, I thought maybe you might be Irish, right? Okay, Topper, Shed Rock, see you later.